What's up, MCU fans? Anchorpete here. You can find me on Twitter as Anchorpete29, and that is my friend over there, Brian. You can find him on Twitter as Coors Hair. You can also find him on his OnlyFans, Coors Bear. So check that out too. Brian, how you doing tonight?
Doing good.
Nice, dude. I am drinking a Bang because we got our show tonight. Yeah. Then I got to edit our 3 Alien videos that are on each channel. And then I got to watch Mortal Kombat too. So it's a busy night. When are you going to watch it?
Probably tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
But I just downloaded Mortal Kombat X to play. So
nice.
I'll have a little more relevant gaming experience, hopefully.
Cool. Is that the newest one?
No, 11 is the newest one.
Okay. Who's like the extra character, like the movie character in 10?
Oh, I have no idea.
Well, you'll find out, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, if people want to see our Mortal Kombat discussion, they can tune into the LassoCast. Oh, here's one of our friends right here, John Edwards. Sup? If people want to see our Mortal Kombat discussion, they can watch the LassoCast channel. We're going to talk about it tomorrow night, same time. But for tonight, we're going to talk about the finale of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And it's spoiler central, guys, so you've been warned. Brian, was this a satisfying conclusion in your eyes?
On one level, yes. On another level, no.
All right. What's the yes for?
Okay, so I think in terms of the emotional impact of Sam assuming the mantle of Captain America, and as a black man, was like spot on and like amazing and had me like teary eyed at least 3 times in the episode. But other than that, I think I just felt like they just let Walker come around and help and let him walk away and stuff. I mean, I know he wasn't arrested, but maybe he should have been. I don't know. And then,
yeah,
I mean, I at one hand was satisfied that I guess my guess about Sharon Carter being the power worker was correct, but at the same time, it's just like, how did nobody notice? Like, how did this? Like, I guess I don't. I mean, she went from dealing or intending to deal super soldier serum to instead, use an agent status to somehow get secrets out of the government to sell or something like that. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but it was a bit, I don't know, weird trade-off, weird use of that twist.
Yeah. I gotta admit, with Sharon Carter, just in general, I've never really been impressed with her character, and no.
Oh, you dropped out a little bit, Pete. I don't know if it's me or you, but it's time to check my phone to see who dropped out, me or him.
Okay, are we there?
Oh yeah, we're here. Okay.
That's my crotch. Okay, I'm just gonna stand over here and be awkward because I'm closer to the Wi-Fi.
Okay, that sounds good, and I hope that people will enjoy my 3 minutes of silence there, or 30 seconds of silence.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We got some comments from John. He hung on the whole time. My mouse is not working here. Well, okay. He said that a lot of the tie-ups were rushed.
Agreed. Totally agree.
He said, wish we had a longer scene of Bucky talking to the old Japanese man. Very good point. And I would have liked more Bradley in the Smithsonian. Absolutely. Real good points, John.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else I would have. I was happy with the Isaiah in the museum scene. I mean, I'm not really sure what they could have added to that to change the impact that it had.
Yeah.
But I mean, actually, you know what? I'm going to actually disagree with that. I think I think it was sufficient time for that, and I think it was sufficient time for Bucky's admittance that he killed that man's son. I don't know what else they could have shown that would have really added to anything there.
Okay. Well, do you feel like in general with this show that Bucky was kind of wasted or not used to his fullest potential?
No, I think he was. No, I think he was well used in the show.
Well used? Okay.
Yes.
I don't know. I just kind of had this feeling by the time the show wrapped up, I felt like there was a big focus on him in the very first episode, and then it really focused on Sam for the rest of the show, and maybe even brought in, Zemo, and then he kind of fell into the background. That's just my opinion, though.
I mean, I guess more the internal conflict with Sam and his decisions on, not being Cap, and and how to move forward. But I mean, they definitely set up Bucky, and there wasn't that much that happened with that. I mean, his whole deal was that he, if Steve was wrong about Sam, then Steve might have been wrong about him. Yeah, and I think that it was a companion story to Sam's story, and I think that's fine. I mean, there's a reason that it's the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, not the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, I suppose. I wasn't dissatisfied with his use in the show, though, at any point.
Okay, interesting. Well, there's like this controversial topic that I want to bring up, and I'm afraid it's going to cause controversy in our chat and stuff and our views, but here's the thing. I'm just going to let it out because it ties into what we were just talking about. Okay. Like, I feel like with all the Marvel movies, of which there's 23 at this point, I think. There's 23, and the most realistic one in terms of issues is Black Panther, right? Where they address real world issues. They kind of allude to stuff in other movies, right? But Black Panther is where we're going to tackle race, right? This show, I felt like they were trying to tackle true political themes, and they certainly did with Black Lives Matter stuff with Isaiah Bradley and a few different scenes in the first few episodes. But then when he does that speech at the very end, that kind of threw me for a loop. You know what I'm saying? I felt like that speech, what I liked about it is that Sam does speeches like that in the comics, right? And Sam makes points about racism and our political system, but it just kind of felt jarring having this character make this kind of speech. Did you think that scene was kind of awkward?
I mean, I did like the speech, and I was moved by it. I will say that.
Okay.
It did seem a little. I mean, I felt that it was an interesting take because, like you said, in the comic version, is that they do Sam's version of the character does kind of address this stuff more head on than Steve Rogers ever did. Right. And I think that's the best way that they could have done it in the show.
Yeah,
in this short time. But I guess it was a little weird that he just decided to walk up to a newscaster and start talking in front of these people, or these people. It did feel a little out of place, but the content of the speech I thought was fantastic.
Okay. I think that the intent behind his speech was good, that essentially he's trying to say hey, you guys have power. Let's use it for good in the world instead of making weak decisions. Right. Yeah. But they had this whole thing with this GRC, which is this made up political group. And I never really understood what the Flag Smashers were against completely. I didn't know why they were taking this group and kidnapping them and stuff. I understand that they didn't want to go back to the old ways, right? But I didn't know why the GRC was considered bad in their eyes.
Well, it's because they basically people moved around and were displaced.
Yeah.
During the blip.
Right.
And they had essentially taken refuge in other countries, other areas, or whatever. And now that everyone's back, they're basically saying, "Oh, you have to go back to where you came from. You can't stay where you are." So there were probably refugee camps where groups of people gathered together to help each other because so many people disappeared, and now the GRC wants everyone to go back to where they were. They brought up a specific point of someone's someone took someone's house, well, because they disappeared, but now that person came back. Who lives in that house, sort of, But now think of that on a larger scale with countries and all that. I mean, you can almost, oh God, I don't really want to get into this, but you can almost make, an Israel comment on this,
Oh, yeah. No, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that because you kind of clarified it for me. I get it. So that comparison with the guy moving into someone's empty house, that's a really good comparison right there. Now I kind of get it. It's things shifted before the blip, and now that everyone came back, they want things to go back to the way that they were, and that's messing up people's lives. I get it. Okay, that makes a lot more sense then. Like, his one thing, and boy, we're getting to the heady stuff right away. Like, recently I was thinking about Thanos, right? And let me just get John's comment in here real quick, because I want to show him that we're paying attention to him. I loved Zemo's butler blowing those dudes up. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed that Zemo had a little last laugh in a sense. Although at the same time, I felt that was part of the rushing of tying up the loose ends, sort of, you know?
Yeah. At first, I was like, who the hell is this? I didn't even realize it was his butler until they cut to the raft and him, like, smiling.
Yeah, I mean, my wife, Kristen, actually watched it before me and then watched it again with me. So she was like, I didn't know who this guy was. Like, oh, it's the butler. Like, if she didn't say that, I would have probably had the same thought. But because she asked, like, it kind of jogged my memory.
Right. You know what I thought? I thought that the butler, the first time we saw him, I thought he was that butler from the Spider-Man movies, like Norman Osborn's butler.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember, no.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because, like, there's this one butler that's in all 3 movies, right? Yeah. And it's this older actor that I guess Sam Raimi liked or something. But the thing is, they had all these bloopers because the guy would, like, mess up his lines. And do you remember he has, like, this real serious conversation with Harry and the third one? He's like, I loved you like I loved your father. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and they just would show him flubbing his lines, and I was like, oh, shit, did they get him back for this show? That'd be awesome. But he's probably dead, though. But
we're trying to look this up while we're talking.
Okay. And I know I'm going on all these tangents, probably from drinking that bang. But what I was going to say was I was thinking about Thanos recently, and I was thinking about how, like, so much of the MCU is just building up to Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, right? And he had this way of thinking of, like, I'm going to erase half of life, right? And I feel like the more I think about it, the more kind of ridiculous it sounds and more ludicrous. And I'm like, okay, that was his plan. He was just going to erase half of life and people were going to make ends meet. But what I liked about it was the people in the Flag Smashers, it almost seems like they're keeping Thanos' legacy going, you know?
Maybe indirectly, I guess. I mean, there's another way to look at Thanos' plan is that it's like an environmentalist kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just if we have this many people and it keeps growing at this rate, we're going to run out of these resources and everyone's going to die. But if we cut off here, then, you know, maybe people can survive and thrive longer, or we won't destroy things at this insane rate. I don't want to say that the Flag Smashers were glorifying that or saying that it was good that those people died, but I think that they were saying that there was some good that came out of it, and the world was kind of working as one, and their view is kind of misguided because I think they needed to push that it's possible to do it, you know, even though everyone was back. And they, you know, maybe they were doing that because they didn't want to kill people necessarily. They didn't want to re-destroy half the population. They just wanted everyone to just work together and not have, you know, state lines and wars and political,
factions.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, except for Carly, right? And she starts to get violent. And boy, in this last episode, was she really violent? Like setting fire to that truck that all the people were in. I thought that was pretty messed up.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, she went from, you know, we said morally great. She had kind of a purpose, was going about it the wrong way, and then, you know, as she went on, she just got, you know, more and more violent, darker and darker as she went on, and, you know, it was a clear villain by the end.
Yeah. And I figured she was going to die. I knew that the way that the setup was, like, with her in that little tunnel system with Sharon, I knew that Sharon was going to kill her basically and be like it was self-defense. I could kind of see that coming.
Although it's like one of those action tropes where it's like, you know, everyone's running around and only the one person finds them, and it's just convenient. Like, you can't plan that, you know. It's just that was a pure coincidence, and it's just like, you know, I don't know. Yeah. Again, I felt one of those things that was rushing it, and it felt weird, and they could have done a better job with Sharon's reveal as the power broker, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's what I was talking about before my computer froze up, was that I think that, like, just in general, I've been kind of unimpressed with this MCU version of Sharon Carter. Like, she's in the Winter Soldier. I think she's pretty good in that, but I really like the Sharon Carter in the comics. She stands out. She's got like sass. She's kind of a badass. This one,
and she was the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a time too.
Yeah. At one point in the Captain America comics, she like saves Steve and goes into this alternate dimension that's like this hellscape and just lives there for like 10 years. Just being a badass, like Mad Max or something, So it just doesn't sync up with this version of her. And I just think it's the actress. Like, I think that's a good actress, but she doesn't give off that vibe of like badass. She seems kind of, she doesn't seem as tough,
I don't know. I mean, that scene in the I don't know if it was the third or the fourth episode with the shipping crates, where she was just beating the hell out of everybody.
Yeah. Dude, how come every time I make a statement, you're like, well, hold on. This is the point that contradicts that. I'm like, okay, Brian.
My goal in life is to contradict Pete.
Yes. Yeah, we usually think see eye to eye, but you always, okay, good point.
Yeah, I agree with you. Something was just weird about it. Like, I feel like they didn't do that right.
Yeah.
I don't know how they could have done better, but.
Well, did you think that end credit scene was kind of lame, with her being like, "Ho, we got access to this stuff now"? I thought that was pretty lame.
Like, you're going to talk about that out loud on the courthouse steps, and does every court meeting happen in that exact building? Because it seemed like, John Walker's court martial or whatever thing was in that room,
right?
With the other end credit scene where he's getting his new uniform is in that same room.
Yeah,
Sharon is in that same room.
Yeah. I think that even in like Black Panther, that's like they use that courthouse too at the very end, the post-credit scene. Yeah. Well, you know what? That brings up John Carter and not John Carter. Holy shit, John Walker. Well, let's just see what this John's saying too. I always think of the way New York felt after 9/11 when considering the viewpoint. Yeah, dude, this guy, he's bringing the money tonight. He's basically saying that like that sort of post 9/11 unity is what he's thinking about with the Flag Smashers.
Yeah, I can actually. That's a great analogy. Yeah.
John, you bring in the gold, man. But I was gonna say, what do you call it? What the fuck was I talking about?
Mephisto.
Oh yeah, okay, right. Yeah, I was disappointed he didn't show up in the end credits, right?
Yes.
No, John Walker. That's what I was talking about. So with John Walker, he shows up. And he's all badass and he's all ripped and he's going to go fight the Flag Smashers. He's kind of holding his own. He's getting beat up a bit. Did you like the fact that he turned heroic at the very end?
Yes, but again, rushed. Like, it was just weird. He appeared. No one had any problem with it. And then he's just like, they're like palling around at the end of it after they caught the Flag Smasher guy, him and Bucky. And it's like, then that interview happened and he's just kind of standing there. And then, there's an acknowledgement and he just walks off in the crowd. And it's just like, he murdered someone like 3 days ago. Like there's no repercussion for that. Yes, his rank was stripped, all that. He didn't have the shield anymore. He's not recognized as Captain America.
Yeah.
But he still murdered someone. Like,
yeah.
So that felt really off. That I felt like there should have been, like, he should have been put in jail or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe at that point we could have had, Madam Hydra or Contessa, however the hell you want to say the name. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah. Then maybe they could have had her get him out of prison or bust him out of prison, something like that. I mean, now, before I say it, what did you think of that scene and where do you think that's leading?
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, idea.
To me, I'm very clearly getting Thunderbolt vibes.
Yeah. John Walker is on one of the more recent versions of the Thunderbolts. I haven't read that version of it, but he's kind of like a warden at their prison. At one point, the Thunderbolts kind of goes through multiple iterations, and one of them is very similar to the Suicide Squad, where they're all just like prisoners and the government takes them out. And I think Norman Osborn was actually kind of running that program for a while. But at one point, John Walker is like in charge of that program. So that's probably the connection right there. I do agree, like a Thunderbolts thing. There's so many different ways they can go with it because like the U.S. agent is also a member of the Avengers West Coast. Like he had Cap on the regular Avengers, then he had him on Avengers West Coast. They could kind of do an Avengers West Coast thing. I think that's kind of slim.
Oh my God! Wait a minute. What if this is like a placeholder Norman Osborn for like Dark Avengers instead?
Right. So there essentially has to be, hey, we don't have Avengers. We're going to make an Avengers team, right? And one is going to be the Young Avengers. Probably what you're saying is going to be a Dark Avengers. But I'm not sure because I think you need to add a whole bunch of more villains. You need to you got Zemo now. That's good, right? Because he's a Thunderbolt character, right?
But you're not gonna have Zemo and Walker on the same side because Zemo's gonna want to kill Walker.
yeah, and also it's a good point too because Dark Avengers and Thunderbolts are two separate things.
Yes.
Even though Norman Osborn did have a Thunderbolts team, the Zemo version is something different.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a lot of the things in the MCU are just kind of in name only, and they have kind of just the general gist of it.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just going to take the name of it and not have it be like, oh, they're villains turned heroes or masquerading as heroes. Maybe they'll be more of an anti-hero sort of team or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it could be something like that. I would be all down for that. I think Wyatt Russell's great. I actually really liked him in this series. I'd be down for him coming back. I'd be down for like the Contessa being almost like the Norman Osborn if they like don't have the rights for him or something, you know?
Yeah, there's always weird stuff going on with anything with a Spider-Man character with this universe. So
yeah. But just in general, I liked Sam as Captain America. I was all for that. I actually got teary-eyed too at one point too. I got teary-eyed when he showed the exhibit to Isaiah. That was one time. And then there was one time too where I think it was when he actually kind of like flew down and he had Carly in his hands. Like he was holding her. He's doing that kind of that iconic superhero pose where they're like holding a dead person or a fallen person. Yeah. I just thought he looked so awesome like that.
Yeah, for me, honestly, when he first flew into the building and they first showed the costume, I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah. He was awesome. Yeah, he did a great job, and it was really awesome that Batroc, the Leaper, was like the first person he fought because that's like such a Captain America villain, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think what else to cover in this episode. We pretty much covered it all, and we got real philosophical in the very beginning.
Yes, we jumped around a lot. We covered the Power Broker. We covered Bucky. We covered Sam. I mean, that's kind of it. So, I mean, like I said, I felt the message in this episode was fantastic, but just the weird rushed-ish ending threw me off a little bit. So I wouldn't call this my favorite episode. I would still say that I guess the fourth one was my favorite.
Which one's the fourth one again? Like what happens in it?
The fourth one is when he goes to talk to Carly.
Oh.
And he had that speech with her, and there's also the analogy between, if you had the question
metaphor.
If you had the opportunity to take the serum, would you?
Oh yeah, the hypothetical. Yeah.
No, Walker says yes. I think that was my favorite one.
Okay. Yeah. I think we said we did this for WandaVision too, which was our favorite episode. So that one is your favorite episode. For me, I actually really liked them going to Madripoor. I just like the way that Madripoor looked. Yeah. And maybe even like the second episode, my favorite, because I liked the introduction of John Walker and I liked like them all kind of not getting along with each other. So it might be between like the Madripoor episode and episode number 2. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next part of our night, because we got 3 things going on tonight. We covered Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Part 2 is we're going to do our discussion of where would it fit in our rankings of the Marvel movies if it was a Marvel movie. So, Brian, I moved my laptop to be close to the Wi-Fi. I left all my notes right over there. Can you hold on 1 second?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Live production.
Okay, was that quick enough?
That was very quick, yes.
All right, sweet. All right, so I have my ranking of the Marvel movies up to date, and then I'm assuming you have yours too.
I actually I don't have them, but I'll wing it.
Okay. So I maybe have changed my list a little bit, but the way it's going to work tonight is I'm just going to list you guys the movies that come before where I would put Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Okay, so you ready for this, Brian?
Yep.
All right, so for me, here, I'm going to turn you guys all off. Number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 2, Black Panther. Number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 4, Avengers Infinity War. 5, Thor Ragnarok. 6, Avengers. 7, Iron Man. 8, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. 9, Captain America Civil War. 10, Avengers Endgame. And then right at 11 would be where I'd put WandaVision. And then at 12, I would put Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And then everything else is underneath that.
Yeah. My upper tier ranking is slightly different, but it's for the most part very similar to yours. But I also would put this show right behind WandaVision. For some reason, I thought that was like a one of a kind of thing, and it was a lot more. I mean, the fact that it lasted a little longer was better too. It was a lot more to talk about. But that being said, this was a fantastic show. Yeah, I absolutely want to see more of these characters together, and I think we will be seeing more of these characters together.
Good segue. Yeah, you want to tell people why?
Yes. So earlier tonight, they announced that there will be a Captain America 4 movie, and that it's currently being written by the writers and the director of this show. What is his name? I just had it. I forgot it.
I didn't write down any of the names of the showrunners or anything like that, or the showrunner, but I do know that the writer wrote the 5th episode. He's going to write Captain America 4.
Malcolm Spellman.
Okay. That's the showrunner, right?
That's the showrunner, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, he did a fantastic job. I'm all down for his Captain America 4.
Yeah, I absolutely need to see more of these characters, and I'm glad that we're still going to get another Captain America movie, even though it's not with Steve Rogers. But I think that Anthony Mackie is going to do a fantastic job of leading a movie and filling those shoes.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Am I allowed to? I want to give one little tidbit on this show before we move on. Okay, is that cool?
Yep.
All right. So, did you know that the Power Broker, the character of the Power Broker from the comics, is actually connected to the movie 2001?
No. How so?
Okay. I love this shit. See, because I can tell you, and it's not really mansplaining, right? Because we're both men. Yeah. That's why I got to do it on this show and not the one with Sherry. But, okay. So, here's the deal. When Jack Kirby left Marvel, he came back to Marvel, and they gave him the deal of you can adapt the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey into a comic. So he adapts it, and he makes it kind of similar to the book that it's based on, right?
Okay.
But Jack Kirby's this ambitious, crazy dude, right? And so he just keeps going, and he doesn't just tell the story of 2001. He just keeps going, and it's an ongoing title, right? And it follows that monolith that's in the beginning of 2001.
Okay.
So the monolith is flying around, and affecting all these different cultures and shit, right? And it lands, I think maybe on Earth or futuristic Earth or another world that's like Earth, and there is a robot, and the robot gets affected by the monolith and develops like a personality and morals. That robot is a Marvel character named Robot Man, who you probably know him, right? Or have heard of him?
Robot Man. I know the DC Robot Man. I know Machine Man.
Oh, fuck. Did I? Oh, dude. That was mansplaining, and I just fucked up my mansplaining.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Machine Man's the one that has like the wiry arms and like the glasses, like the purple glasses. Yeah. Right? Okay. So that's who it made Machine Man. Okay.
I didn't know Machine Man. Yes.
Okay. So, right. Robot Man's Doom Patrol DC. Wow. Totally just shit the bed on that one. Anyway, so the Machine Man is from this 2001 comic. And Machine Man had an ongoing title, and that's where the Power Broker is originally from, his comic.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I got a little tidbit like that for Shang-Chi. We could talk about that when we do our little Shang-Chi.
Because I got nothing for that. I mean, I'm excited for it, and I have things for it. But I know nothing. I've read nothing, and I have no idea what to expect.
Okay. Well, here's John Edwards. I think I turned him off with my Robot Man, Machine Man connection there. He's going to bed. John, it was great pleasure having you with us.
Yeah,
really good points. Yeah. Brian, I will play the trailer for Shang-Chi as we're talking, okay?
Sounds good.
But just without the volume. And, oh, shit, that is with the volume. Okay. So anyway, you can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay. So Shang-Chi is going to be the 25th Marvel movie, right? After Black Widow comes out. 25. And isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And it stars Simu Liu, right? And had you heard of him prior to this movie?
I know he's a Canadian actor, and he was mostly known for a comedy show called Kim's Convenience, which I think I only saw like once. I really did not know him too much before this.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him until he was announced as Shang-Chi.
Actually, I thought either I was thinking they were gonna get the guy who he was in Mortal Kombat was gonna end up being him, or that's what I was pulling for, I should say.
Yeah. The one that's Liu Kang now?
Yes, and who's also Shatterstar in Deadpool 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, he would have been good too. I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know if he's going to be good or not, but I do know that he's got some incredible actors with him too that have been in like these amazing martial arts movies too, like Michelle Yeoh from Hidden Dragon, Crouching Tiger, right?
And many other things, yeah.
Many other, yeah, absolutely. And then like kind of spoilers. I mean, this might be slight spoilers, but like his father, the guy that's talking to him in the trailer, is the Mandarin, or like the newest version of the Mandarin, like not Ben Kingsley version of the Mandarin, right?
Yes.
And he is played by I wrote down his name too. I'm sorry, Tony Leung Chiwa, right? And so he's this like Hong Kong action star too, and he plays him as well. So I've seen him before in other stuff, and I just think that they have this like great crop of actors. They also have Awkwafina, which she had her own comedy on like Comedy Central recently too. It was like something like Margaret from Queens or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think I saw that, but I mean I've seen her in a lot of things. She's popped up in a lot of places lately. So. Oh,
okay. Did you see her in Jumanji 2?
Yes, Jumanji 2. I saw her in. What was the other thing in? I think she did a voice acting in that Ride of the Last Dragon movie.
Oh, okay.
I've seen other things too. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, I thought she was fantastic in it's Jumanji like the Next Level, I think is what it's called.
Yeah,
I think she was really good at that. And I really liked that, like Comedy Central had like a free episode you could watch of her show, whatever it was, is like Margaret from Queens or Grace from Queens, whatever the hell it is. And I thought she was real funny in that. So I like her. And then
Nora from Queens.
Nora from Queens. Okay, thanks. Thank you for clarifying that. So then that brings us to the behind the scenes people, right? And you have the guy that directed it. His name is Destin Daniel Cretton, and he directed a movie called Short Term 12, which I'm not familiar with. But he also made this other movie called The Glass Castle, which is like a drama, and Woody Harrelson's in it. I can't remember who the female lead is, but I know that Sherry had some interest in it. But it wasn't like a action movie or anything like that, you know?
Oh, it sounds like it was Brie Larson, actually.
Okay, there you go. So Captain Marvel right there. Okay. So he had like quality actors working for him in this movie, The Glass Castle, and I think it was based on like a important book too. What's more interesting to us, I think, is the writer. The writer's Dave Callahan, and here I'll play some more of this while I'm talking, so we don't bore people. But Dave Callahan, he is one of the writers on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Speaking of Mortal Kombat, which we're going to watch and review tomorrow, he wrote that. He wrote Wonder Woman 1984, right? He wrote Zombieland Double Tap. Okay, I didn't see that one.
I actually haven't seen it yet.
He wrote Godzilla. He made the story for the 2014 Godzilla, and he also wrote The Expendables, the original one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he's definitely written some genre stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah. So do you want me to tell you the little tidbit about Shang-Chi?
Let's do it.
Okay. You're like, I don't have anything to say about this movie, so I'm just going to let Pete ramble.
Yes, please talk because I have nothing. I don't know what to say. I mean, it looks like a great martial arts movie. I mean, it feels slightly out of place, I suppose, but in terms of everything else, because I feel like I've for the most part known all of these characters in some capacity, but I barely know this character. I've read a few issues where he was a member of the Avengers,
Right.
and even then in those issues he was more of a why can't I think of the word secondary character than in the story than anything else.
Yeah. Well, he really hasn't been the main character in a lot of, like, he hasn't had like an ongoing, for a long period of time or multiple times. He has been a supporting character in a lot of books. When he originated in the 70s. And my little tidbit that I told you about Machine Man in 2001, that's all from this this channel called Comics Explained, this YouTube channel. This guy, Rob, he's great. And I learned that tidbit about the Power Broker, and now I learned this tidbit too, which is that in the 70s, Kung Fu and martial arts is like a big thing, right? People were all excited about it. And Marvel wanted to adapt the Kung Fu TV show, right, with David Carradine, right? And so they couldn't get the rights to it. And instead, they got this series of books where it was based on this character, Fu Manchu, that this novelist wrote. And it was like kind of like these thrillers where it was Fu Manchu was the villain, right?
Yes.
And he's sort of this Asian stereotype, which, you wouldn't want to have in a modern movie at all. It's like this long mustache. He's just, not appropriate, right? Anyway, Fu Manchu is the villain, and he has a son, and Shang-Chi is his son. And in the comics, they adapted his books into comics, but then they eventually lost the rights to his books. And so all the characters in the books, except for the son, which they played up in the comics, is Shang-Chi, they got rid of all the other characters, but they kept him.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, like, he used to have a supporting cast. He used to have, like, a half-sister, and he used to have, like, his father, Fu Manchu. But then when Marvel lost the rights, like, essentially, like, his whole supporting cast went away.
So I wonder if any of the supporting cast in this movie has anything to do with those characters, or is it still they still lost the time at this point?
Kind of. Like, they changed the name of his half-sister, and maybe she's in this movie at some point. And then they switched out his dad with Fu Manchu. They made it the Mandarin instead, but it's got the same concept essentially. And then I'm just trying to think. Like, there's at least one other character where they just like changed the name, but it's like a different character, or it's not the same character in the book.
Got it. Okay.
So I don't know that kind of back stuff. That backstory, I like that kind of stuff. It always gets me real excited about movies and Marvel, like, especially if I don't know something about a comic, like a Marvel comic or DC comic.
Yeah, no, and also it's interesting to hear what fueled the creation of some of these characters, when they were created. Because I feel like that's not something that happens today. Like there's not some trend in TV or movies that they're trying to adapt. I mean, now they are the TVs and movies.
Right. Yeah. Thinking about that, right? Because I want to eventually do this video on Darkhawk, because it's been 30 years since the character of Darkhawk came out. It's funny. I just watched a viewer just like turn off right when I said Darkhawk. But that's the first comic I ever bought, was a Darkhawk comic, right? And that's in the 90s. And he's a Marvel character. People probably don't know about him, right? And I was just thinking how, as the decades have gone on, I feel like it's gotten smaller and smaller, the amount of original comic book characters that have been created by Marvel and DC. Would you agree? Or
absolutely. If anything, it's been more about legacy heroes than actual new characters. I mean, there are plenty of new supporting characters being created, I think. Yeah. But in terms of main heroes and those in the big two books, not as many as you'd expect.
Yeah. And there's like almost never a brand new character that has their own ongoing title. That like almost never happens.
Yeah. And if it does, it lasts for 6 to 12 issues and then it's done.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Yeah. There's they always make new X-Men. There's always like new mutant characters that are interesting that pop up, but they're just part of X-Men. And then what you said about the legacy character, that's where the real money is at. Like, all these characters that are named after existing characters. You know, there's the female version of Hawkeye. There's Ms. Marvel. There's, you know, Miles Morales is Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Like all these characters, even though they are brand new, dynamic, interesting characters, they still are essentially just different versions of the original character.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So, but like Shang-Chi, they made him as a character in the Fu Manchu book, but then he kind of grew on to be his own thing. And sometimes he has powers and sometimes he doesn't. It looks like in this movie that it's all about martial arts. I was going to get philosophical with you for one more minute. To me, I'm not super impressed with the trailer, honestly. I don't want to knock Marvel, but to me, I didn't really see anything that got me really excited. Like, Shang-Chi is supposed to be this incredible martial artist, like the best martial artist in the Marvel universe, right? I was thinking that I would see some kind of crazy moves and be like, whoa, like something out of the Matrix or something, right?
Oh, something out of the Raid. That's like my bar for martial arts movies these days.
Okay, yeah. So I've even seen like the beginning of the Raid, and I've seen things that are inspired by the Raid, and I've even seen like fucking like Cobra Kai, and there was stuff in that I felt was more exciting than what I saw in this trailer. How do you feel about the martial arts in this trailer?
I think I agree. I don't think there was anything that meets that bar of the Raid for me. But it's just a trailer. I mean, maybe they're just saving the best stuff for the actual movie. They don't want to spoil anything. We don't really see any of the powered martial arts, I suppose I should say. You know, any of the chi that he supposedly uses. I mean, I don't think we do, right?
You don't see him use any kind of power at all.
I think by the end of it, he will be using some power, and this is, you know, almost like, you know, I had a lot of Doctor Strange in the beginning, or earlier on was, you know, him learning everything, you know. So,
yeah. Well, in this, they talk about how he's like been sent away for like 10 years. Do you remember that from the trailer?
Yes.
So like in the comic, Fu Manchu, the villain, trains him to be like this amazing fighter, and he keeps him like secluded from the rest of the world, essentially, right? And then he lets him go into the world for a period of time, like maybe it even is 10 years, and then he kind of comes to collect him, and he goes to send him to kill someone. That might be what happens in the movie, and we'll probably see his training, like you said, but I think it'll be like in flashbacks, you know?
Yeah, and then the other thing too is that how connected will this movie be to other movies? And you know, for the most part, when they've actually were there any cameos in Doctor Strange? Like, I'm trying to think. Usually, when there's a character that the public is not as familiar with, they throw something in there that someone may know.
Right, you know? With Falcon in Ant-Man, like that, right?
Yeah. Yes. I wonder who they can put in this to kind of help anchor it to the larger universe.
Yeah.
Hard question.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Here's a thought. So they've already shown the figures, the Marvel Legends figures that are coming from this movie, and in that wave there is an AI Tony Stark, and I'm wondering. I mean, the Mandarin. You know, how do you? And I know Tony's dead, but there has been in the comics that the AI Tony Stark character. I mean, is that something that we maybe see? I don't know. Is that just like a waste because it's not going to last or be anything lasting?
Yeah, it would be like a big stunt to have Robert Downey Jr. back. I think that would really get a lot of buzz for this movie and a lot of interest in this movie. That's an interesting thing, like connecting the Mandarin to Iron Man. I don't know. That would be interesting if they connected to like the Iron Man mythos and maybe like War Machine is in it, right? I didn't even think of that, but yeah. Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, right? Because when I saw this trailer, when I was trying to get philosophical, I didn't even make my damn point. My point I was trying to make was that I feel like it's not fully like a martial arts looking movie like The Raid or something like that. And it doesn't really look like a Marvel superhero movie either. It just kind of seems kind of generic. And that's kind of my worry, is that these movies over time maybe they're not going to always play into the superhero, and maybe they're just going to try to emulate a genre, and then they're just going to become generic. I'm kind of worried about that.
Well, I mean, to your point there, also, I mean, they've although you can make the argument that when they first started the MCU that they were not using top tier characters, you essentially used up their top tier characters now.
Yeah.
Iron Man is out. Steve Rogers is out. Thor is on his way out. I can't imagine that. I mean, Black Widow is out. We don't know what's going to happen with Hawkeye with the TV show or Hulk. I mean, his status is always up in the air. We know he'll be in She-Hulk for some capacity, but ultimately, there can't be a standalone Hulk movie. And I don't know. Is his story done? Is his story done because he's got a dead arm now because of the gauntlet? So they're trying to create franchise out of these newer guys. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is a great example too. No one knew who they were before when they saw that movie, but they're household names now, and even that team after this third movie is going to be gone. So they're starting to show us the next generation, but is the next generation strong enough to carry these movies? And like you said, each of these movies has sort of been a different genre. When are they going to run out of them? Are they going to start repeating, or are they just everything going to be watered down?
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, because we could reach a certain point. I mean, these movies have been coming out since 2008. This is the 25th one.
Yeah,
it's very possible it's eventually going to run out of steam. This shot, it's kind of interesting that I'm frozen on this shot from the trailer because I actually kind of forgot this shot. This is the most exciting shot in the whole trailer when like the woman almost falls out of the bus and he like brings her back into the bus.
Yeah.
I think that is kind of exciting. So I will give them credit for that. But otherwise, I did kind of feel like it was kind of generic, like I was saying. And what do you call it? I was going to ask you this. Is there any other MCU movie that exists that has like very little actual superhero stuff in it? Because I feel like even like the Winter Soldier, which is the example I think of right off the top of my head, it's like more kind of like espionage and hand-to-hand combat. You still have Cap running around with his costume on, throwing his shield. The Winter Soldier looks very much like a superhero, right?
Oh yeah, like what's the costume here? I mean,
they have shown Shang-Chi's costume. It's sort of this red, like shirt or whatever. But and then look at there was like a whole army of guys kind of dressed like him at one point too.
Okay.
And maybe that could be his power, because that's actually one power that Shang-Chi has had in the comics where he can actually make multiple copies of himself too. So maybe all those guys are Shang-Chi. I don't know.
Oh, there goes my dreams of a Madrox movie.
Hey, well, that's another thing, right? Because you said they used all these top tier characters, but then they do have the X-Men like in their toy box now.
That is true, but still, it's like do we have? Is there going to be X-Men fatigue? I mean, we've been getting X-Men movies for 20 years, and people were used to them, and then we discussed last week that some are great and some are not great. Does anybody care? Like that last X-Men movie, the Dark Phoenix. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I guess New Mutants is the last one now, but I mean, Dark Phoenix did not do well at the box office. It flopped. No, people did not care.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was fatigue or word of mouth or just wasn't exciting because they were already rehashing Dark Phoenix,
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like it's going to be a while before we get an X-Men movie. Especially, I mean, they have the next 3 or 4 years plotted out, and I don't see where. I mean, we're at a point now that like this year we're supposed to get 4 movies.
Oh shit!
4 Marvel movies in a year. I mean, we can blame that on COVID, in the pandemic, because we should have gotten Black Widow and Eternals last year. I don't remember if Shang-Chi was supposed to be coming out last year or this year originally, but this year we have Black Widow and Shang-Chi, and then the Eternals, and then Spider-Man.
That's supposed to come out this year?
Spider-Man's coming out on Christmas, supposedly. Yeah. I mean, and then not even to mention that Venom 2 is supposed to come out in September. I mean, who knows if that connects or not. But
wait, have they even like started filming Spider-Man?
yeah, so they started filming very recently. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they came to some kind of agreement with like Tobey Maguire then.
Well, not publicly. So the official stance on those is that they were rumors and they're not true.
Oh,
I think that could be maybe they just don't want to spoil it really.
yeah,
Typical legal studio stuff.
yeah.
But I mean we did a confirmation of a lot of the villain characters. Jamie Foxx's Electro. Well, I can't remember his name. Dr. Octopus. Alfred Molina. I mean, they were confirmed for it, as well as I'm pretty sure Charlie Cox is in it.
Daredevil. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they said that he's officially in it, and I mean that's extremely interesting to me to see what happens with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's never been a year that we've gotten 4 of these movies in a year. They were kind of at a two movie a year pace for a while, and who knows? Next year is just as crowded. I mean, then not to mention all the shows too.
I know.
We have at least 3 major live action TV shows based on these characters this year. So 7 properties this year. I mean,
oh my God,
it's crazy.
Well, at least we won't run out of shit to talk about together, though, right?
Yes.
On this show, yeah. Okay, well, I think that's pretty much a good stopping point for us tonight. We are taking a little break because there's no MCU thing to talk about. But the following week, when we're in May, Brian and I are going to talk about Jupiter's Legacy. And so that's all going to come out in one big dump on Netflix. But we're just going to kind of take it apart, maybe 1 or 2 episodes at a time. And that'll probably lead us all the way to Loki.
Yep. So, and Loki premieres on June 11th, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah. So we got like a month of Jupiter's Legacy. And
also at some point, Black Widow's July now, right? So we'll have Black Widow to talk about as well. And then we'll have this movie, Shang-Chi, eventually.
Yeah, there's just so much friggin' content.
So much stuff for us to talk about.
Yeah. There's a friggin' Invincible show that we haven't even talked about.
I had to start watching that.
Yeah, ditto. Yeah. All right, well, I got to go make my alien videos, and you guys can watch me and Brian on the LassoCast channel tomorrow when we review Mortal Kombat. So we will see you guys next time.